I want to bring in Texas Democratic Representative Marc Veasey, who is a member of the Armed Services Committee. And Congressman, let's start with this question of what Congress is being told and how many updates are coming to Congress. John McCain has been critical on the Senate side of the information that has flowed to the relevant committees regarding this mission. Do you feel that you have been sufficiently briefed on what's going on in Niger and on the deaths of these 4 men?
No, I have not been sufficiently briefed at all, and hopefully when we get back, because the House is out right now, the Senate was in this week, the House is on congressional recess right now, we'll go back in on Monday, and so I'm expecting to be briefed as a member of the House Armed Services Committee, and I've been raising this for a while, Joy, that we need to be more focused about what's happening on the continent of Africa. I mean, if you think about the fact that many of these Islamist warfighters that are going to be leaving Syria as they're pushed out of there, leaving Yemen, they're going to want to go someplace that's ungoverned, where they won't be spotted, where they won't be noticed, and the continent of Africa provides that sort of cover for them. So I've been raising this issue on House Armed Services for a while and very concerned about it.
Mm-hmm. And Congresswoman Wilson has raised the concerns of the family, on behalf of the family and as they are her constituents, about the question of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson and whether or not he was left behind. We know his body was found about a mile from the site where the others were, and there are a lot of questions about why he was found on his own. This is Pentagon Joint Staff Director Kenneth McKenzie on Thursday disputing the idea that anyone was left behind during that mission. Take a listen.
No one was left behind. Either U.S., our partner Nigerian forces, or French forces were on the ground actively searching for this soldier. The search continued until he was found. We never left the battlefield and never stopped looking for him until he was found.
Does it concern you, sir, that Sergeant Johnson was found separated from the others, and do you feel that that answer that you just heard is sufficient?
No, we have to find out why he was separated for 48 hours, how he ended up a mile away from where the initial battle took place, and those are the types of things that we need answers to. I don't think that he was obviously, purposely left behind at all. I mean, I've traveled with the Army, with the armed services on the continent. I was just part of a group of members of Congress that was in Somalia back in August. And I know how serious the men and women that work on the continent take their mission, and how every brother and sister they feel are a very important part of the unit. They would never purposely leave them behind. As members of Congress, we have to find out exactly why it took 48 hours to find Sergeant LaDavid Johnson and how he became separated, because a mile is quite a bit of distance, considering that this was supposed to be a routine mission.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, to your point about it being a routine mission, I want to play Defense Secretary Mattis on Thursday talking about essentially that same point, that it was the contact was considered unlikely with the enemy. Take a listen.
And I would just tell you that if this specific case, contact was considered unlikely, but there's a reason we have U.S. Army soldiers there and not the Peace Corps, because we carry guns.
I mean, the fact that this was considered such a routine mission, what would you want answered in terms of why something that should have been routine turned deadly for 4 American troops?
The first thing that I would want to know is, does the armed services have the resources that they need from an intelligence, from a reconnaissance standpoint, to be able to conduct these missions reliably? One of the things that General Waldhaus said, who's in charge of AFRICOM, back in May, was that the Army is, or that the military is only at about 20 to 30% at what they need to perform certain aspects of this particular mission. And so I would want to know, do they have the resources that they need? And again, there are a lot of obstacles and a lot of challenges dealing with dialect, dealing with ungoverned spaces. And that's the other important piece of this, Joy, is that the fact that we need to be helping them from a military standpoint, but I would imagine that this particular part of Niger that was close to Mali, that is probably ungoverned, and that some of these Islamist forces may be providing services that the government is not providing. And so we need to make sure that we can also help them with governance. I cannot stress to you enough how important the governance piece is to this as we try to move away from a long-term military commitment to this area.
And very quickly, before I let you go, your colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I'm thinking about people like Trey Gowdy, held many hearings when we lost several Americans in Benghazi. It became sort of a fixation for the Republican Party. Not that these situations are analogous. They are not the same. Obviously, each situation is different. Do you see among in the Republican Party any interest in holding the same intensity of hearings regarding this situation in Niger?
Oh, if it would be a shame if they did not. I mean, obviously, this was a very tragic situation, a situation that should not have happened. And if they don't pursue this with the same intensity, the same passion, I think that we can question what their motives were when in dealing with Benghazi.
Yep.